So welcome, everyone. Welcome to tonight's beautiful offering by Brother Phil Lane. We're inviting everyone to put yourselves on mute while we're going live. And I'm here to welcome you. I'm Shelley Darling, and I'm here hosting for the good of the whole and inviting you into the connection field. And we are in partnership, beautiful partnership with the Four Worlds International Institute, and Brother Phil Lane is here with us, and we are here together to be in sacred ceremony, listening to the teachings of the sacred tree, and to really honor Hereditary Chief Phil Lane Jr., who is a member of the Yankton, Dakota, and Chickasaw First Nations, an internationally recognized leader in human and community development. During the past 45 years, he has worked with Indigenous people in North Central America, Micronesia, Southeast Asia, India, Hawaii, and Africa. And tonight he mentioned that the Four Worlds International Institute is now working on a new program in Europe. And also, as we speak, what's happening is the sacred ceremony, the Talking Leadership program as well. So he'll be sharing more about that. And I just want to share a little bit with those who are joining us, a little bit about Good of the Whole and the connection field, because I know there's so many people wondering, well, why are we doing this here? And who are they? You know, and essentially just what I was sharing with people when they were getting on is that Good of the Whole is really a community of mentoring stewards, really focused on cultivating a whole world view. And Brother Phil and we have been talking about really bringing forth this, the collective whole, really birthing the collective whole together. And that this platform, you could call it a platform, you could call it a mothership, you can call it whatever you want, but essentially nobody owns it and everybody owns it. And so we're here to really come back into greater connection and trust and really feel the sense of deep valuing and respect for each other. And specifically tonight, honoring the Indigenous voice, the wisdom that's been carried for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So I just want to, I think that's all that really needs to be said. Just be open. And if you really want to dive deeper and receive the weekly digest, all you have to do is go to goodofthewhole.org. And you will receive these beautiful offerings that Brother Phil and a lot of the grandmothers and Karen from the Netherlands, everyone's coming together, the Four Worlds Institute, Unify, we're all coming together to provide a real deep gathering of really the hoops of many hoops. I think that's the best way to say it. And so with that, I want to just give the mic back to Brother Phil Lane, and with so much reverence and so much love, thank you so much for really inviting us all into your arms, into your love, and into your wisdom. Thank you.
He's on mute.
You're muted.
Okay. Well, that's even better. I already got a chance to say a few things anyway. No, I really want to give my heartfelt thanksgiving, Shelley, to you and Good of the Whole for embracing our collective vision of really providing a foundation that people may come together and really get a chance to have a good visit and visit again as it used to be. And before I begin to explore the teachings of the sacred tree, I'd like, as we always do in our anything to do with this sacred knowledge that is really a knowledge and a wisdom that is in the heart of all cultures and people everywhere. Oten Kashla Wakantaga, creator of the universe, most beloved one, all powerful one, most kind one, most compassionate one, ever forgiving one, ever cherished one, We call upon your holy power this day to flow into our hearts and minds and spirits and very beings as we go through this time of great transformation. We ask all those ancestors who are with us to inspire each and every one of us to find within us the roots and heart of that sacred tree. It is the core and heart of every one of us. Wakantaka, most great spirit, we turn to the east from where comes the red sunrise. We pray for all those relatives and ask they may come together in unity and harmony this great day of unity, this day that shall not be followed by night. We turn to the south from where comes new life. We call upon all those tribes and nations of the south, they also might join us together in that hoop of many hoops and find the peace and find the harmony we are seeking. We give them welcome to being here. In the west from where comes thunder, lightning, and rain, we call upon all those tribes and nations that bring us great energy and strength, power. The very lightning, thunder, lets us know this incredible power goes beyond the world of names in which we're immersed. Wakantaka, we give thanksgiving. Invite all those tribes and nations to the north from where comes the white snow. The north winds come. The purifying north winds come. We might be able to find wisdom. We might be able to find oneness. We might be able to find consultation and participation so that everyone has justice. We turn to Father Sky this time to honor all those masculine dimensions of life, especially to understand what it is to be a good grandfather. Help us understand that. A good father, a good brother, a good son, a good uncle, a good grandfather, a good father, a good husband, a good companion. In whatever way we need to learn those. Help us to do that, Creator, and help us to really understand how the power of Father Sky, the power of Mother Earth, of which is the foundation of our creation from whence we come, how they come together in the most magnificent, most powerful way, so that both wings of the eagle, male and female, may fly to the very highest, the summit of human understanding and happiness and joy. And we again give thanksgiving to our beloved Mother Earth. Thank all the people who came together for Earth Day and helped work together. Remembering Unify, remembering Sign Network, remembering Unity Earth, remembering Unify of all efforts, all the relatives who came together and all the people that helped us out. Four Worlds Europe. And we ask, Creator of all good things, that today we might understand a little bit more about how we can, through the unfolding of our spiritual soul and all those infinite gifts you've given us, how that unfolding may contribute to the uplifting of the consciousness, so that even the thought of harming our mother, harming another human being, won't even enter the consciousness of the human family. It will be forever left behind. So we praying like that and ask that we might all know too that we're just one human family. We've always been one human family from the very beginning that has no beginning. And once understanding that, there is no place whatsoever for any form of prejudice, anything that makes us feel better than or less than anyone else. And so we come to this place, be humble before the sacred tree. Here, we're just brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, aunts, nieces, nephews, grandmas, grandpas. That's all we are. We've left behind the world of names, of titles, anything that stands between us to understanding more and more what we're doing. Oh, Dr. Bessie. You know, what I realized I got to praying. And the next thing I know, I was over here praying. I think I was trying to pray to the four directions. Anyway, the main thing is we enjoy having a prayer. Well, I want to really extend my very warm and loving welcome to those who have taken their beautiful Sunday evening, or maybe even somebody might have come in from where it's already Monday. But I'm so happy you've come. And really, at this first part, we want to explore this archetype, this archetype that's found in cultures everywhere in the world. In fact, if you were to go back to a primary archetype that's expressed even by children, when they first began to draw, just spontaneously, what they found universally is you find both a circle, which we'll explore as we go from the tree, and a tree. And so I want to begin with first grounding this in the sacred prophecies of Black Elk. But she said, as in his great vision, he went through many, many things. But after all the tests, all the difficulties, all the things that he witnessed with these red, yellow, pale, black, white horses, and all the people, they finally came to what he called the highest mountain of all. And he said when they arrived, the people were destitute. They were in poverty. They were in great suffering, loss, disease, broken, hopeless. But they had still within them some hope. They still believed in the power of the Creator. They still believed in the power of our ancestors. And so he said to begin to climb the mountain. And they came to the first stage of the mountain. They came to the second. And each stage they felt stronger and stronger. Each plateau they reached, they felt more and more alive. They began to understand more why they'd gone through what they'd gone through. And finally they came to the third plateau. And they felt a lot stronger, much, much stronger. And then finally, he said, and I found myself standing on the highest mountain of all. And I looked down below and I saw the sacred hoop of my people. It was a hoop of many hoops. In the center stood a mighty flowering tree. You see behind me. A mighty flowering tree. In that mighty flowering tree, I saw the sacred hoop of my people as a hoop of many hoops. And then he says something so beautifully. He said, I saw more than I could understand. I understood more than I could say. For I was seeing the shape of all things that live together in unity and harmony and kindness and peace and compassion. And he said, and I turned to the east. And two men were coming flying like arrows. And between them rose the daybreak star. He gave me the daybreak star with four blossoms, red, yellow, black, and white. They said, with this power of understanding, you shall have power over all things. And I took it, dropped it on the earth, and where it fell, there was no more darkness. Now, of course, when you get a chance to hear it in the most beautiful translation to Lakota language, and mine it was kind of a summary, but it doesn't touch the beauty and heart, especially if someone who speaks Lakota. I'm sure that the fullness of that is even deeper spiritually. But that vision, that sacred tree, is really what was a heart, very heart of a sacred, I believe, manifestation of the Creator, the white buffalo calf woman, who came and brought us our sacred teachings of the 7 rights of the sacred white buffalo calf pipe. Now, this tree, in relationship, we can find with many other wonderful spiritual understandings everywhere on Mother Earth. And I want to say this as we go into this discussion. From my perspective, just my perspective, if something's spiritual or eternal, it has to have infinite meaning. So we can all have different understandings of different things at different times in our lives. And we can also be the same age and see things a little bit different. And so I would pray that what we have able to have here this next 7 weeks is really a visit about how we can see these things from a different way. You know, how can I see these as an indigenous person who also had the wonderful experience of having my great grandfather, go through that process where we were forced to either, when you signed the treaty, you had to become a member of a Christian faith, and so they chose to be a member of the Anglican faith, or Episcopal faith, because they could speak the language there. So there's that part. But what did they see as well? Because these were honest people. What parallels did they see? Was there any mention? Did they ever hear about a sacred tree in spiritual teachings that were shared by the Christians that came? How is it that this very holy ceremony behind me, that the place where it appears, you can see there's a cross? I mean, so what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that meant that there was some kind of internet going on or telephone call going on saying, well, we're doing the ceremony over here in Israel and you're over there, so we'll do it. No, these, I believe, emerge from the very soul and heart of who we are as human beings. So let's, for a moment, let's explore some of these beautiful images that have emerged from this beautiful image. This is something that goes beyond the normal syllables and sounds, because when you think about it, the time that people spend the love that you have to have, and just the detail, the spirit behind it, to create these images from your various face. You have to have that. So when we come, for instance, of course, probably one of the relatives that's known is by many of us, not in fact by many human beings among this Mother Earth, is the Buddha. Now it's interesting, if you look at the white buffalo calf woman, who brought, really, it might have been a small civilization, but it was a powerful, peaceful civilization itself. It may not be within Thornby's interpretation of history, but certainly she created teachings that go on today. And so we can say as well, the Buddha. If you go to Siem Reap in Cambodia, or you go to Thailand, to very holy places, or you go wherever, there's a love and kindness and compassion there, but it's around a tree. And then we go to, now this is you can't see the whole picture, it's beautiful. We go back into history and begin seeing, and this one we can see, I wish my good brother Jose was here, that this is Mayan. And then we go on, another one. Now, it's really interesting that these sacred trees that emerge out of the same Garden of Eden at the foundation of all your Abrahamic religions, that the images even are very similar. The images are very similar. Now, beautiful tree. This was a tree that came in a vision that is very key to our Mormon relatives. That's their sacred tree. And it's part of a vision they have. And of course, this incredible image of now it's very interesting. You see this image. What is it? What do we see here? Because we're going to explore. If you see right behind the tree, you can almost see the curvature of the earth as it comes around. You can almost see it. You can see it. Almost see it. You can see it. And so, it was pretty crazy for us the elders that to think that people thought the world was flat, because it was very clear you're on the high plains. But of course, I guess if you're around where you can't see very far, you might come up with the idea. Although it's very interesting. When they had this battle about over whether the world was round or flat, big deal was because they didn't understand that prophecies or spiritual things have infinite meaning. They took it literally that when Jesus said, well, I'll come in the clouds and every eye shall see me. Well, the only way they could literally, rationally figure that out is the world was flat. Because how could Jesus be seen by everybody? He'd have to make multiple flights. So what happened? Millions of people were killed over that. Because people did not understand that spiritual teachings have infinite meaning. That's why we can always come with humility and learning together with each one. And then we go back to, I love this one. Now, each one of these is a story unto itself. But again, why is it that we look at cultures everywhere and this tree is so important? We'll get further into that discussion. And now, just think of the incredible love and detail and dedication it took for the artist to take the time to weave this. It's a rug, to weave this all together, this incredibly beautiful, beautiful design. So just for a moment, let's stop for a moment. Take a deep breath, if you would, if you feel comfortable. Relax your shoulders a little bit. Just shake a little bit. Let go of any of that. Okay, now, what we want to do is close our eyes just for a minute. At the top of your breath, the bottom of your breath is a space. Top of your breath, and bottom of your breath is a space. Bottom of your breath, top of your breath is a space. And right there is a space between the thoughts. Let's just take a pause. Let's focus right to the core of our being and feel the roots of our tree, which deal deep beyond our feet of the earth so strongly, and draw from that power of our mother strength, spiritual strength, and allow it to flow up our legs, up through our chest, up through our arms, our mouth, head, through our arms, through our back. Feel that coming out strongly. It's within each one of us. Each one of us have within us this incredible repository of powerful spiritual energy that's awaiting our surrender, just to relax, to allow it to unfold. Okay, so let's go a little further here. So, see right here. Love that one. We're right here. Okay, now another. Now, what's so magnificent about this? Look deeply into this. Look deeply. The tree is speaking. Do you see what language is speaking in? So beautifully, this is so beautiful, is that a great Muslim artist took this, and this tree is a direct reflection of sacred verses from God. It's all been weaved in there. Just like, by the way, I believe that many many messengers have come to help us along the journey. Each of these messengers have always renewed the foundation of those that have gone before them, always. You don't have somebody come along who builds a incredible civilization, says, kill everybody, or, hate your neighbors as yourself. But, they don't. So here you have, just to think of love. And I think that really what I'd ask you to do as we journey through this next week until next Sunday is take some time. Take some time to begin reflecting on the various sacred trees of various cultures and your own culture. Because some of those I shared come from the Celts. And just to kind of to highlight this a little bit further, and then you have images like this that'll begin to prairie. How was it that this image, this is something more, in the last 30 years. And here's an image about 40 years it came out. This idea of the fortis. And another, I love this one. It's a mirror image. See that mirror image there. And of course, this one. So all these are reflections of what is called an archetype. Now, what is an archetype? And again, I'm not a great Jungian psychologist or anything like that, although I really can say that I was attracted to the teachings, to the wonderful work of Carl Jung since I was very young, since I was probably 19, 18 years old. And I'm sorry, that was my wife coming in. So, Carl Jung, I think, is really was really a great made a great contribution to this understanding of this, the meaning of the sacred tree. In fact, my uncle Vine Deloria Jr., one of the last books he wrote that was not published until after his death was C.G. Jung and the Sioux Indian tradition, in those words. And he'd actually read the Red Book 4 times before he felt he could write a reflection back from how indigenous thinking fit. And he felt that Jung, and he had done a lot of work way beyond I can even comprehend, that Carl Jung's thinking was as close as he could find as building a bridge. And I think when we I think this is where, in part of the understanding of the sacred tree and the roots of the sacred tree. But when Carl Jung was down visiting the Pueblos, Taos Pueblo, he was able to meet with some of their very ancient elders. When I say ancient, probably ancient in the sense of their wisdom and knowledge, but probably not too much older than me. So anyway, I'm getting kind of ancient in a certain way physically. But so anyway, he asked them, he said, what do you think of the Europeans? What do you think of the white man? What do you think of them? And they looked at him and they said, we think he's insane. We think they're insane. He was kind of taken back. He said, why? He said, they say they think with their heads, but we also think with our heart. In fact, I remember an elder telling me, he said, he said, Tucker, he said, you're never going to solve the issues and challenges before you solely through the intellect. Because the very nature of the intellect is, for every problem it solves, it creates 10 more. That's the nature of the intellect. It's a gift. That's how we've unfolded all the science and technology and going further and further in the digital world, and now, all these other things. But, it's only when the heart opens, and so my father said, if you can feel it, you can heal it. Only when the heart opens, where a place where the mind is caught in a conundrum or can't escape, it keeps going round and round, can't seem to leave that place, which then keeps us in emotions in a certain place. But finally, when the emotions come forward, the tears come forward, and the tears fall, and all that shaking happens when you're frightened, you're sobbing, and so forth. What happens is you're able to dissolve the state of consciousness in which you're in and come to a new state of consciousness. But that's understanding that you can't do it solely through the mind. It's the but, like this elder said. He said, you know, Dr. Shah, the longest journey you ever have to walk is from here to here. And I can tell you that from a personal experience. That's exactly right in terms of that. So we come to this part. Now, the reason I'm going back here, I really feel it's important. By the way, we can do the same thing if the primary relatives here were from Hindu background, back to Krishna, or Zoroaster, or we can go back down to our Mayan relatives. We can go over to, of course, obviously Christian, Jewish, and Muslim. To the Baha'i relatives, to of course, our Buddhist relatives, to our indigenous relatives across the world. And we'll find this relationship. And so that's why it's so interesting to me as I explored and tried to understand these various spiritual traditions. There's such things that maybe people hadn't seen before. That's why we put this Christian, Buddhist, Zoroastrian, so forth, journey of the sacred tree, because it's coming back. So anyway, from Genesis. By the way, I'm not trying to make anybody converted here to anything. I'm just saying, if we could just look at this and see these parallels of the deep structure of who we are. This is in fact what he's talking about, getting down to archetypes. So let me see, I have to move around here a little bit. So anyway, the Lord God caused to grow every tree that, can you read that better, Shelley, for me? Or my head's in the middle of it.
Yeah, your head's a little bit in the middle.
Okay, I'm going to stand back. I'm going to step and try this. Okay, because I think I only do this twice. So we're just testing this out. So if I fall down, collapse, don't worry about it. Okay.
I can read it from there. Oh.
Okay, read it right there.
Well, you have to speak first, so I'm going to put myself. Actually, I don't think I can, because if I start to speak, it grabs the speaker.
Okay. 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 I'm going to tell you this. Let me just, brother. So, if you go back to Genesis, you'll find that in the Garden of Eden there was two trees, one a tree of knowledge and one a tree of life. Now, the interesting thing is, they talk about the tree of life and the both of these trees and what they meant. But then it said a river comes out from the Garden of Eden and turns into four rivers. So for this understanding of fourness, quaternity, is really when we begin to understand the medicine world. So let me just pause for a moment. Pause and see. Let's see if there's any questions before I go on. Let's stop for a minute. There we go. Let's stop for a minute and let's see if there's any questions people may have.
May I ask if it's possible to get the screens behind him at a later time?
Oh yes, I'd be very, very most happy to share it with you.
Thank you.
And I think what I'll do is what I'll do is just speak from this without trying to read through it. You'll see it kind of behind me, but anything I have here is we're so happy to share, because we really believe, as Frank Foolscrow counseled us way back in 1969, he said, we need to share in a good way, share. And these are things that personally I had worked on, so I feel very comfortable sharing them. But he was saying share our very best to help the people, because if we don't do it, we're not going to come together. So I'll be most happy to do that. Happy. Please.
So just so everyone knows, you can put your questions in the chat as well. We've opened that up. And you can also hit that reaction button and we'll catch it if you really want to speak, or just take yourself off mute. Just trust that impulse that it's your turn, and and just speak
Yeah,
into the field.
please do. This. Hey, brother. How you doing? Brother Ken. I can't hear you, brother.
I'm seeing you at home again today. I'm grateful to see all my relatives.
Yeah. Can you turn your speaker up a little bit? I want to hear you at full volume.
Let's see. Can you hear me now? Is that a
Yeah.
little bit? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say I'm grateful to be here. And also when you mentioned about Carl Jung's visit with some of the Tiwa speaking Pueblo peoples, I remember also in that same visit, he asked one of the elders what the essence of their tradition was.
Beautiful.
They spoke about the great emptiness and silence. And that's something that, in a sense, people are being forced to face right now because of time spent inwards, time spent at home. It's
Yes.
ironic that it takes a virus to get people to once again, some people at least, to realize the power and importance of not being on all the time, but of that great silence. It reminds me also a little bit of what Lame Deer said, that the Wichasha Wakan, the holy person, the person who serves the Wakan, who serves the holy, is characterized by that silence. Or as one Seneca elder put it, a member of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, she said, we call meditation entering the great silence. Anyway, I thought of those things as you mentioned that meeting between Carl Jung and some of the Pueblo. Again, thank you so much for sharing.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you, brother. We've been traveling together for probably about 40 years now. I think along this journey. And what you're saying it's very true. Very, very true, brother. And who else will we have here?
I'm curious. This is Amanda. Hi, Brother
Yes,
Phil.
Amanda.
Can you see me? Hi, Shelley. Hi, Julie. Good to see you. It's been a while.
You.
I was guided to be here. I could share more of that story on another Sunday, perhaps. But I have a question emerging around all the ancient traditions that have the tree as a primary. I don't want to say symbol. Like it's more than a symbol. It's something that's a living, breathing
Yeah, I think
essence of their tradition. So you're saying that we share that all in common.
yes.
And do we also share like a similar meaning around what the tree means in each of those traditions, or is that something we're going to explore?
Well, I believe so. I really believe that. That's been my experience to this point. And I believe what we're doing here is to introduce kind of a way to journey together to the roots of the sacred tree within all of us, and we're going to find in the process that there's no reason to be at each other's throats, in this world. I mean in the global sense. I mean this is this is an incredible time, and I think what my dear brother shared about this time of silence. We have to have the silence, and I can say that my wife said she's tried to slow me down from going out and trying to save the world, what I was trying to do. And finally, she said, I don't know what's going to stop you, just keep you inside. And then I fell off a horse. I hurt myself on a horse a year ago. And then finally, I had to have a back operation, but this did it. And I'm going to tell you, at 75 winters, wow, what a neat place to be. I mean, to be here at this time and place, to be able to sit in my home and share and get those things. Please, another question, please.
Hey, Brother Phil, it's Tammy.
Yes, hi, Tammy.
I wanted to ask, is the teachings in the sacred tree, you talked about going within, reflecting in silence to up-level consciousness. Are there levels of consciousness that we are trying to up-level to as spiritual beings?
Well, I would say this, that we are eternal beings. We have a beginning that has no beginning and an end that has no end. Now this goes beyond, I think, our understanding of you know, it leaves us wordless. And I think that one of the most beautiful scriptures I read one time, and by the way, I believe in honor. I found these beautiful, uplifting pieces in everywhere in the world. But it says, in this, it says, "Oh, my Creator, if I call you the inmost essence of unity, I'm forced to admit the very well springs of unity have been created by your power. If I call you the quintessence of wisdom, I'm forced to admit the very well springs of wisdom have been created by your power. Far, far be this beyond our power to really, that's what we call more in Wakantaka. Yes, we did that as a way to translate with a Christian, but there's a deeper word, you know, something sacred moving, you know, it's something beyond our understanding, something beyond that. So I would say that you know, I wouldn't worry about levels. I think that's more of the intellect, putting levels in there. I think I think you can go through multiple levels in one day, and sometimes it seems like you can be in a desert for about 50 years. You don't go anywhere. So, you know, I think the more we get levels out of there, you know, I mean, one of the things I believe, you know, this idea we've gotten the system, we've even done it kind of a nonprofit thing. Like, you know, I have this little Patreon page, and I've been figuring it out because what they have is, well, if you pay more money, then you're called a super. You pay a little more, you get super. You go higher than that, you're a super. And pretty soon, if you give $1 million, wow, you're just like the greatest person that ever walked on the face of the earth. And you have a special place to sit. You have a special place to give your prayers, everything. Now, I understand that that's the way the world works today, but I think we have to step beyond that. You know, that's why in our Four Worlds Talking Circle Leadership Program, you know, if people can come and they want to come, you don't have anything, we don't ask any questions, you know. And what we find is people share with. I'm saying is that I think we have to have a whole new way we relate money to. So anyway, I don't know, Tammy, sorry, I just kind of went off on that one. But, you know, thank you. I hope I got did I answer pretty good on that?
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. And I love the open our hearts and let's just be, you know, and not
Yep.
worry about, the money or the level or, let's just be more conscious.
Yes. So any more questions? Maybe
Yeah, I'll speak from those who are on Facebook, Brother Phil.
Yes.
And we have lots of people on Facebook, and Bonnie and Sandra and Angelique Redpath is asking, she said, hold on one second. I am a descendant of 6 tribes. Do natives have more than one?
Yes.
That was her question.
Yes, most certainly. I mean, you know, if you go today, let's say this coming summer, and this virus went around, you would see many different sun dances going on with many different trees. The ceremonial process to bring that tree to the arbor, the place where it's put, might differ. But to me, I think it's so powerful, the symbolism of this. I mean, it's very powerful, and I understand how it directly relates to the pipe, because, you know, you have this arbor built around it. And some relatives, they build kind of more of with a roof kind of around it, so it's smaller. You know, the sun dances I've experienced, they're larger, and they're like they're like a womb in a certain way, because you have a door opening to the east, and you have it rounded like this, circle. And so then you have in the center, the sacred pole is brought there. And that's through a whole process. Now, different tribes and nations have different ways of cutting the tree, but one thing that's treated with great respect and honor, and then it's brought to the center of the whole sacred center. And there's certain things that are done to put it in a very sacred way. And then once it's done, then in a way, what you have is life. I mean, symbolically. It's the same thing. These things I'm sharing, by the way, these are things that have been shared with me, and I'm just passing them on. So I'm not trying to take anybody's things, and I understand others have different feelings about how they share, but this is what I feel at 75 Winters. I feel that I want to share from my heart, from my teaching, what I've learned. So I'm not trying to disrespect anybody else, and somebody may have a whole different way of looking at things. But if you think about it, we can go clear back to this understanding of how all our ceremonies reflect really the essence of life. I mean, even in the site of the Sweat Lodge, which, you know, again, we've done a few times. I think quite a few times. I wish I could go back one night today. But you know, you go in there, and when you cut out that center piece. And by the way, sometimes I know some tribes I met with up here in Vancouver, you know, up in British Columbia, put their pole in the side of the lodge. So it's not you have to do it this way. Everybody's different. But the symbol of that lodge, that center, is like the navel. It's the heart. It's the pituitary gland. It's put there. That's the heart. And then the willows are brought. That's like you have the plant people, the power of growth that surrounds you in the womb. The stones representing the mineral people, you know, the covering, buffalo robes, the plant people, I mean the animal people. And then, of course, when you bring the stones in and you put the water in, the people, the air. So they're all there, the wind, fire, the fire. So it's all there. Now, if you think about all those sacred ceremonies, whether you go to India, you go to anywhere, and go down to Panama, to Bolivia, to Mexico, to connecting up with our relatives who are rising in Europe, that same thing is there, the fire. The fire is there, the water is there. So these are fundamental at the heart of what I'm suggesting of cultures and peoples everywhere. And I think it's not, by the way, you know, because we have words like primitive and all these words like, you know, somehow or another, there's been this association, we're associated with the earth, and we're not up here. You know, it's so easy to happen. I'll tell this little short story that illustrates this. Back in 1975, I'd been on the journey about 7 years by that time, and I was adopted into an incredible family on the Navajo reservation, on family. And they're such good people, and they took me out in this old Navajo Nene sweat, which is not built like we build it. It's in stones. It's carved in the side of a hill, stone. And there's a carved out place there. They put the hot rocks in. You don't need any water because it's already about 100 degrees out there. So Mr. Burnside was heading the ceremony, and so the five of us went in there to sweat. My young, good dear brother Ben, who passed away some years ago, he and I were pretty close, and there were two older brothers, and Mr. Burnside was an older grandfather. Anyway, so we went in, and of course it got pretty hot in there, and we came out. It was pure desert outside. And this is how subtle your colonial mind can be. So I've been going around talking about these stories about, oh, you know, we love our mother and all these kind of things, you know, this whole environmental thing. But when they got out of the sweat, and I just enjoyed this so much, I looked down and I saw my two older brothers and Mr. Burnside. They started putting sand on themselves. And, you know, and here is where I really realized experiences. You know, I was taught don't get dirty. And that word dirty, you know, dirty Indians, dirty this, dirty that, dirty whoever, dirty. You know, that wasn't a loving way to love your mother, saying it's dirty. And so I remember I turned to Ben, you know, I said, brother, what's, he said, yes, he said, that'll purify your skin. So at first, I tell you, this whole thing, again, breaking through enough just to really embrace my mother, to really get down in her, and really feel her strength and power. So at first it was like this. And then finally at the end, boy, oh boy, I take that. Feel good, strong. That's my mother, one with my mother. And so I think that you know, these are some of the things that we want to take a look at in a nice way, in a good way, in this process. I'm thinking as well, I'll put up and somebody can give me a hand with this if they can. This is kind of all new to me, but that we can put up maybe a little Facebook page, and we'll just put things around teaching of the sacred tree, because I can tell you there's others, if they choose to share, and I totally honor that part. If they choose to share, there's so many beautiful teachings we can all learn from each other. You know, in going to, I just got back from this wonderful trip, Living Waters, Holy Land Living Waters, over through Jordan, Israel, and Palestine. And the amazing thing was there, I got a chance to visit all those holy places. And I saw the same symbols that we see here. It's very same symbols. Okay, one more question. Well, how are we doing here? I've kind of gone on. See, 3:52. Okay, so that means, okay, how much time does that give us there?
We can go, we left it knowing that you like to go on and track the energy. So you can go as long as you want. We're
know,
here.
but I'm saying is I want to honor the timing. So we're at we've gone about 1 hour.
About 50 minutes. Yeah.
50 minutes. Okay, we're okay, because I want to have more time for questions. But I want to go to the next stage of this.
Okay, I can say that Suzanne Kassak asked, the Celtic tribe has a tree of life too. Are we aware of this? And I think you did speak to that.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, one of the trees I shared on there was a Celtic tree. Absolutely. Absolutely. And all the tribes that's where the Christmas tree came from. I mean, when churchianity or Christianity, whatever, I hope it would be Christianity, sometimes it was churchianity, came to conquer the relatives, tribal relatives in Germany and all through that area, in order to you might say, just like they did in Mexico when they built the temples, built the churches over temples, Mayan temples. They thought that by having a tree there, which they already practiced long before Christianity, that people would feel more at home in the Christian church. So what they did was as they colonized, they took in things that were from other cultures, which I think is wise, that you bring those things. So, for instance, it's really interesting if you go to our relatives there and visit our relatives throughout the Americas, in terms of Latin America, you'll find that many are members of the Catholic Church. You'll see that the Catholics have, the burning of incense, all those same things. So there's certain kind of ceremonial dimensions that they share. Okay. Are we ready to go on for this next part? Okay. So, okay. We got that part. Okay, so what I want to speak about is this. We'll step on. And that's the medicine wheel, or the sacred circle of life. Because that is always found, as I shared, where you had the two trees, the tree of knowledge, the tree of life, and the tree of knowledge was cut down, leaving that in the center with four roads going out. So you find what Jung has called quaternity. Now I'll share the details of this, but I think this is very interesting. So now everyone has different colors at different directions, and they have their meaning for those colors, and I respect all of it. So some colors, this happens to be a reflection of the Ahanktawa that was shared with my grandfather, Vine Delory Sr., as well as the reflection I connected to from Black Oak's prophecy. Other people move the colors around. So if you look at the red, The red represents the red sunrise. Red sunrise. And also symbolically, please, this means symbolically represents, the way it was shared with me, the indigenous peoples of the Americas. Red. And we're also related out through the Aotearoa and all through the islands. So it's a lot, you know, the green, the condor, the eagle is a lot bigger than just the Americas. And so that's the red sunrise. And you'll find, by the way, it's very interesting, that color red and black, that's the same color we use in our Sundance skirts, as well as you go up to the Northwest people, the Great Salish Nation, they use the color red and black. But that color red and black, you'll find it throughout the world. Those two colors are utilized. Look at what observe tribal costumes in many places, not costume, tribal clothing. See, even then, even that idea, costume, that's even coloristic. You know, in little words. But that's their clothing. And so we have that. And I'll share this. I just think it's interesting, since we're going into prophecy, we're going into medicine world, we're going to tree of life and these things. Very interesting. When we went to Megiddo, Armageddon in Greek, we had been planning for some months to have prayers there. And the night before, the sister had a kind of a dream, a vision, gift, and it became very clear when we discussed this that really our focus of that prayer was ending war. And for us, that color red represents peace, or the horses of Black Elves. You know, there's a series of horses. The red horses, from my understanding, again, somebody might have a completely different interpretation from me, but that's the nature of spiritual things, and that's why they're so incredible to go and learning forever. That, to me, represents that peace, and opposite of war. And so we went up and had this incredible ceremony. Over 20 different spiritual occasions faced around Mother Earth. Everybody was praying up there in a good way. And we really prayed. I remember Sacred Dragon, this young man, read the statement from the International Treaty to Protect and Restore Mother Earth. We signed at the same time as Mother Earth Day being in. He prayed with, and stated that declaration that came from indigenous people from across the Americas about ending war. And then this beautiful statement we made at the end. Now, the interesting thing is, from the time we left, there was hardly war almost. In fact, there was nothing going on in terms of war. It was mainly going on in the Middle East. It was going on in Yemen. It's signed there, and we signed some kind of a disarmament. Now, I'm not saying it's going to stay that way, but that's what happened. Now, it's interesting to me in my studies of various visions. I mean, I try to understand visions from as many different spiritual traditions as possible, because I find similarity. Now, again, this is my interpretation of the book of Revelations, and part of the four horsemen. And I say that because I believe if a prophecy has power to it, come from the Creator, and we may interpret it very different ways and completely interpret it different, but it stays, it lasts. For some reason, the psyche, and it's an archetype, it's something in the psyche of our human being that it lasts. And you know, the ones from the book of Revelation, they lasted thousands of years, just like our prophecies of the Reunion of the Condor Eagle, they've been over for 500 years. We know those prophecies. And so it was interesting that when we came down, I said, I'm going to look a little deeper. And it was very interesting. In the book of Revelation, the red horse represents war. War. And our prayers were the exact opposite, peace. Very strongly stated. Now, it's very interesting, because we go down to the yellow, it's because as the sun travels, everything's yellow. Everything's pale yellow. To us, that represents the south, from where it comes new life, the springtime comes. And also symbolically, please symbolically now, because not everybody's all these exact colors, but it represents the south, it represents Asia, literally. And our horse there, that's a horse of healing. So if you have peace, You have healing. You can heal. Now it's interesting, the horse, the pale horse, we use yellow, the pale horse we see representing the south represents pestilence or disease or virus. And so we saw well from my wife's friends who were in Wuhan. So we knew very soon this was happening. I knew that, quote unquote, that the power of healing was going to be manifest to deal with this force of sickness. Now, we go to the west, from where comes thunder, lightning, and rain. That is really about prosperity, the people living in a good way. Because if we have peace, we have healing, then we have prosperity, then we understand that the herd of one is a herd of all. And we have no extremes of wealth and poverty. We never did in our societies. You know, we realize we're all part of a whole. You know, there is certainly there's differences, but we ensured that everybody had clean, good water to drink, especially those less unfortunate who were widows or orphans or whatever. We made sure they had good food to eat, they had a good place to live, they were part and taken care of by the family. That's part of the, you know, comes with the dinner. So the interesting thing is this black horse, which represents to us prosperity in the book of Revelation, that's poverty, that's famine, actually, famine. And look what's happening. Look what's happening in Kenya. And look what's going to happen sooner or later and I know in the cities of Bangkok, the people there can't get out to get food to eat. They're running out of rice. It's happening. Maybe we're not seeing it, but it's happening. So that's happening. So we see it. Now, this is the key point that we have to very, very, very be careful here, how we go. Because we know it's time to break out of the cycle, because the past cycles is this. Let me go up this way to see it. So here we have today all this incredible upheaval going on. People dying from diseases, earthquakes, people threatening war, all these kind of things. My father used to tell me, he said, son, at times of great crisis, great visionaries arise. But be very careful. If you walk with one of these visionaries, you really truly know their mind and heart is pure. Because at this time, the cycle has been some, and usually men have done this. There's been some women, but usually men have been brutal enough to do this. They rise up and say, I'm the one that's going to save you. Not in a spiritual manner, like a Jesus, or Moses, or Muhammad, or Allah, you know, or Krishna, or Buddha. They do it with force, believing the physical force. And sure enough, they do subdue. It's like the Romans did. They did subdue for a time the tribes of Europe. They did. But that changed. And now look where the tribes of Europe are and where Rome is at. I mean, things change. That's why we can't get, you know, caught up in these things. So now for us, that color white, the color white, that represents wholeness, oneness. That represents eldership. That represents unity, because we've completed the circle. So when you're sitting on that side of the circle, as I am in the white circles, as Ken is, now I've got a chance to see you all visiting here. When you get a chance to see that, you can see all those different dimensions of our lives. Okay, now let me see what time we got here. Okay, I think that it's a good time. You know, there's so much we can discuss. I'll just give you an idea. These are some of the things we'll be looking at as we go along. This gets into the quaternity of things that I talked about. So this will be upcoming. And this is what we're, you know, so I think probably the best thing at this time would be, Shelley, let's just open up for more visits and questions. You know, because we, you know, it's a long time to sit for 2 hours on Sunday. I think we're going to go about another about half an hour. We'll go half an hour and we'll close.
Sure.
Because we can get spiritual indigestion. I don't want to go on too
Well, we can invite everyone.
Yes, everybody, please.
Everyone to just let's all open our breaths. We're in this global pause at this point in our lives and in the world, and just it's perfect that you landed in that white expression of wholeness, and really that's what we're holding here. So let's just open our breath. Let's just take a moment. And it's in that breath where we actually integrate everything that you're sharing, Brother Phil. Like, we just get to deepen into that still point, which is fully active. It's never stagnant. And it recognizes who we be and who you be in terms of everything that you're holding and that we're holding with you. And we can just really feel this deepening into the mother. So with that, just take a breath and open your body. Just move a moment, and then just whoever, I love that, like, let's visit here, and feel free to pop in like popcorn, just open it up. And if there's a silent space, we'll invite you personally. And if you feel like you need to, you can write in the chat and I can pick it up there. Or
and also, sister, I have some, I can see some questions that have come through.
Perfect.
That I can address. Yes, there is a story of the Sacred Tree at the introduction of the book, The Sacred Tree, that is included with the Good of the Whole, and it goes right into a story that's exactly parallel to the movie Avatar. It's exactly parallel, and the reason. Now, by the way, I'm not saying, by the way, they took that and somehow saw the Sacred Tree and read the book and created Avatar. I'm not saying that. It's a universal archetype, this story. And all those stories, if you think about them, they all have these elements that make them the blockbusters they are. That's another thing we'll go into another time. About all these films have all these archetypes together. So yes, the medicine wheel is a system for this. It really reflects that wholeness of who we are. And that's why, I would say a major difference between let's say the European triangle and the indigenous circle is that there's a concept of mind, body, spirit. The one dimension that's in the medicine world that's not in that understanding of that triangle is the heart, feelings, heart, the importance of the heart. You see, because unless you have the heart in balance with the mind, the intellectual part, now the balance of the spiritual and physical, there's there, but you don't have the balancing of the heart, because the heart's not acknowledged in that model. It's that triangular model. Now, in the circular model, you have all four dimensions, plus there's a center dimension, and we'll get into that more. But in this very center, let me see, I think I can find that. One second here. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Okay, now, this side here. Now, at the center of our four potentialities in the quadratic, four potentialities. So you can imagine you have the physical, spiritual. Let's say put the physical at the top, the spiritual at the bottom. Okay, the physical and spiritual. Now, of course, we want to find balance there between the physical and spiritual. And then you have the mind and the heart going the other direction. You have the mind and the heart. So all those have to be balanced, but the way they're balanced through is you have to have volition. Volition is a process of being able to attend to something, to visualize something, to move to completing it by setting goals and then completing it. So the volition is needed to develop physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And so that's a key part. And the last thing I'm going to say on that, and we can have our question and answers. But I have to say, this is my best guidance from what I've learned, and talking to my daughters and talking to other beautiful Tojas and Toshkas I've met, I have in my life, and children. But this is key in terms of relationships. That's this, that first of all, in fact, I just was visiting with one of my Toshkas about this. First of all, in a relationship, it's really important. Yes, there is the physical dimension, and that is wonderful. If you're going to be together forever, it's really great that you really enjoy the intimacy physically of being with each other. But at the same time, if that's the only thing, because this world of senses are very transitory, you're not going to have too much going on there. Now, at the same time, so you want to have that. Yes, there is that resonance physically, so it's great. You want to scream at the top of your lungs when you see your beloved walk close to you. And that's great. Why not? But also you've got to ask yourself, do we really enjoy speaking to each other? Do we really stimulate each other, our intellect? Can we think about things together? Do we enjoy those same things? But then there's another question: is the heart. Can we really share? Can we really openly share our feelings with one another? Do we really feel that? Does each partner, part of the partnership, however you want to call it, do they really feel the other person's able to hear them and feel them, and able to be loved and to be loved? Because sometimes it's really hard to be loved. We can love, we can't be loved. And of course, we come to the foundation, that is, do we have, because this really, when you think about it, I think my son Ruben George did so beautifully. Had that the ceremony for my Toja Tony, when he said it this way: really, it's that spiritual part that goes on forever, ever. So the question comes: do you have a spiritual connection? And that's why we have in our traditions what we call a Kunkka relationship with somebody is really a spiritual connection. It's so important. But just think about this. Just think about it. But this is what Ruben said. It really touched me. He said, when our relatives leave this physical world, they leave us in a way intellectually, can't talk to them anymore, physically and emotionally. But they don't leave us spiritually. That's the connection that we have. And that's the one that fosters, and the one that we'll do our best we can over these next 7 weeks as the connection field grows and grows with more and more offerings. We're going to have some great ones coming next week. So I thank you, and let's have some questions, some thoughts, and then what's our timing here? It's okay, and let's about 20 minutes we'll close it. How's that? See if I can get a better background on it. Okay, please.
Jump in. Let's go.
Please.
Also, I just want to say Don Orn and Lena's here with us, and Don Orn was on the Four Worlds Institute, and he's sharing his love, and I'll leave it open for people here to respond, but otherwise he's on the chat. I added his chat. And
well, Don, so nice that you're joining us.
This is Elizabeth. Thank you, Brother Phil. Lane, appreciate being here. I appreciate your wisdom. Along with Shelley, I'm involved with Loving Waters, and our purpose is to remind humanity of our sacred relationship with water. And I'm wondering if you could speak to that in relationship to the sacred tree and that teaching.
Yes. Well, I mean, I have a little story I might share about that. The first time I sundanced with a really incredible elder, Pete Ketches. And he liked to dance 2 days and 2 nights, 2 nights nonstop, without stopping. He called it 2 blue days and 2 yellow days. It was so interesting because during that time, of course, you can't drink water. They other dances sometimes it's 4 days and 4 nights with little water, maybe a little bit of sweat. But you know, I remember it was really hot. Oh, it was hot. And we'd been dancing. We started at night. We danced all night, all day, all night. And it was the morning. It was really hot before we started piercing. And everybody was so thirsty. And that's when he gave us the teaching. He said, boys, I always call us boys, because compared to us, we were less than boys, but he said it was the boys. The boys, he said, now I hope you understand that water is medicine. Water is medicine. Without it, you can't exist. And, you know, water is with us from the very womb of our mother, which, by the way, has the same salt content as the ocean. The mother's amniotic fluid, from what I understand, I'm incorrect on this, you know, then I shouldn't be corrected, but from what I understand, it's the same salt content as the ocean. So we come from water. That's who we are. And water is sacredness. If you, in all our ceremonies, whether it be the use of water we have in our ceremonies as indigenous peoples, or the use of water in baptism and various things in the Christian faith, and the use of water in other like for instance, I had a beautiful experience with my dear Koda Abdul Aziz, Sheikh Abdul Aziz in the United Arab Republic. And I went to visit, we were together about 3 days, and I got a chance to go into his family mosque, and there were so many good relatives there. But there, you see, water is so precious, but what they do, people know, they want to be so clean when they go to pray. They took me through the ablutions, which you wash your feet, you wash yourself, and then you even wash out your nostril, your noses, you clean completely up to go to pray. It's so sacred. And so, I mean, it's sacred. Many will. It's sacred, sacred, sacred. Many will call me. It's sacred. I mean, we are water. You know. And I'll tell you, the one thing, I've been up fasting a few times. I'll tell you the one thing that will get you faster than anything. It's not going without food. It's when it's when you go without water. Your lips begin to crack. Your tongue is about that big. You've gone out without food and water for 3 or 4 days in hot sun. Then you really realize what that is. I mean, what the power of water is. So I just really pray that we really pay attention these next days about water, because you know it's already over 1 billion people, over 1 billion human beings that we sit here visiting right today, right this minute, do not have clean water to drink, or even have water to drink. They don't have it. It's even going further and further. Okay, next question, please. Okay. Yes, somebody's asking about the color. Minnie Wakoni, yes. Water is the medicine wheel. Very true, because it flows everywhere. Is it not signified in the West, black, because of the thunder, lightning, and rain? That's why I would say it's water. Yes, water is. In fact, it's very interesting you bring that up, because there's a very powerful prophecy. I don't know if we'll get into it all today, but it's beginning with the red, from the red sunrise, the indigenous people. And our gifts would be the gifts of the earth, which, you know, 80% of all the food being eaten today did come from the indigenous people of the hemisphere. Then you go to the south, and they say that the gift there is a gift of the wind. The gift of the breath. It's meditation. It should really help me along. Gift of the breath. But it's also interesting. You see, there's opposites to all things. That where are we being? By the way, please, there's no blaming. But the gift, this virus is giving us a gift in the long run. If we really understood that I don't want, by the way, I'm not saying I don't want to suffer or I don't want to see anybody else suffer from this, but if you look at it and stand away from it and see it from 50 years from now, and we'll see the reason it was there, you'll understand that it's a disease of the lungs. It's a disease of the lungs of Mother Earth. And the heart of Mother Earth. And then you go, so that symbolic is the gift of the air of meditation. In the West is a gift of water. And that, if we look at our relatives living in Africa, they have the longest river in the world. And they were, but from, now, I want to say this at this point in this discussion, that when I look at things and see them maybe differently than they are right now, it's because we always want to see the end in the beginning. That is, we want to be able to see how things are going to unfold. What is not just the immediate, because if you immediately saw a mother in pregnancy, a mother in labor, there's no way you would know that out of that labor was going to be produced such an incredibly beautiful child. So, so let's pick up anything from the internet, Shelley, or somebody else would like to share?
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Thank you so much for your sharing. My name is Barbara from Southern New Hampshire. And here I'm on a homestead and we have maple trees. And so always in February before the spring comes, we get the opportunity to be with the trees and to ask for their maple sap. And what's been really interesting this year is that we've heard that somebody has discovered and made it popular that the sap from the maple trees is actually nutritious. Like, this is really new news, right? But it became so popular that people were wanting to buy sap directly from the trees to drink. Like coconut water was becoming popular because they found that it was like a health drink for them. And people were having not enough sap to boil down and make maple syrup from. And so it was just, and that was just prior to the COVID outbreak. So it was almost like in an unconsciousness, people knew that the water of the tree was really going to be life-giving. And if they had nutrients coming in, perhaps that would protect them from the virus. I mean, that's just me speculating because I love my trees. And but I think it's a very interesting time and reflection to be in. And if you had anything to say about maple trees, I have a couple of big trees here that I'm particularly fond of. We've been growing old together for the last 28 years. They're looking great.
Yes. Well, one of the people I'm inviting to join us is a dear sister, clan mother, Diane Longboat, and she's from that territory, but close to it, as well as we go to other relatives who really know and understand that maple tree. So what I'll do, and I think it's very important, is to we'll bring some relatives in so we can explore how different people see this. Now, I have my own way of interpreting, but I think it is important to realize that the roots are the same. The roots are the same. They go to the same Mother Earth, but its meaning are infinite. Our meaning is infinite. Okay.
Thank you.
How are we doing? My goodness, I see there's 49 relatives who stayed in there for this visit.
Uncle Phil, it's Shannon here.
Hi, Sharon.
How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well, actually.
You seem like you're doing very well. I'm so glad to see that.
Yes, you know, it was a year since I took my unfortunately got hurt in that horse. but
Yeah.
it was one. It was I don't want to. It was a very hell-like year compared to what it is now.
Well,
I,
we certainly come to some interesting times now. I'm glad you've had a rest.
I have had a rest, and I feel like this is the time.
Yeah.
All of us are being emerged quickly.
I wanted to tell you that I've had a very interesting situation happen for me.
Yeah.
I'm now living with my mother on the banks of the Thompson River here in Kamloops, British Columbia, and I have met a tree. And
Beautiful.
and to have you speaking about the sacred trees at this point is really rather remarkable for me because the tree's name is Atlas.
Atlas.
Atlas, and he tells me that he and Mother Earth have traded places at this time, and now she is carrying him. And I wanted to let you know that the sacred is alive in this world.
It is. Thank you so much, sister. Thank you so much. So much.
Bless you, sir.
You know, I always remember your name as well. I have my daughter's name is Shannon.
Yes.
So always brings a good feeling. It's so nice to see you. We've been on this journey, I think, a while.
Yeah, it's been a while now.
I can remember when I had black curly hair. Seemed like about 5 minutes ago.
We haven't known each other that long, but it was Rotterdam.
Yes, Rotterdam. Beautiful.
We planted a tree together.
Yes, we planted a tree together. That is correct.
Yes.
How symbolic that we planted. It's so wonderful. I've always enjoyed planting trees. I remember that ceremony now so clearly. Wow.
And Karen was there.
Yes.
Karen Lindemann, and she's here today.
Oh, she is here today.
Yes.
Let's. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to get a chance, if you don't mind. I'm going to get a chance to reach out and invite a few people. Monica, how you doing? Let's hear your beautiful, lovely voice. Just put yourself off, unmute. I haven't seen you for a while. You just got I think it's on the left-hand side of the screen. There, you'll see a little button. You have a little red thing where, there you are now.
I am now here.
Millions of people on Facebook are just waiting to hear your first words.
I really want to thank you for that. I was a little late, of course. I'm bouncing around looking for you on how to get to the site. But I made it here and I'm really thankful. I just really want to thank everyone for being in the circle. I really, really appreciate your words. And it's funny that you're talking, I happened to come across this page somehow yesterday, I think. But when every morning said, we've been in the quarantine for about 6 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
So every morning I've been walking 20 blocks. Like every morning I go walk 20 blocks and then come home. But I've been standing beside a tree, but I've never been brave enough to hug a tree yet. I have yet to do that because one of my friends talks to me about hugging a tree.
Oh, Monica, you have to hug.
I know, but it's a matter of looking for a tree to hug. I've spotted a few trees, and my heart really goes out to the trees that are really close to the pavement, eh? My heart really goes out to them. I've been on a journey. I've been on my healing journey about 33 and a half years. And my experience with, I don't want to say people, places, things, people that have come and gone in my life. And Brother Phil has been one of the, I don't even know how long, maybe 30 years ago. I was quite young when I connected up with him. And that's when I recognized him with black hair. Darker hair. You know that I missed the introduction part of what you were talking about earlier. If I missed that part of it. I kind of felt
Well,
bad
you
about
know,
it.
sister, we're reflecting on the sacred tree,
Haha.
and we began to explore first the sacred tree we hold so dear, which you have been, we've all been together before that sacred tree, that sacred Sundance tree, and
Mhm.
talk about that. Then we begin to reflect on all the different sacred trees here and there. So
Mhm.
that would be your reflection. Then after that, I see another be really great because he's the one that actually was my sponsor along with others. The
Oh
first
wow.
time I Sundance done in 1980, he's Kevin, his name is Natanji, Kevin Locke, he's with us. So I want
Oh.
to invite him to share
Yeah.
a few words. So go ahead, please take your time, you know,
Where is it?
whatever you'd like to share, sister.
Oh. Oh, I just wanted to thank everyone for sharing what they shared earlier. I was on here for about maybe an hour, and that I know I'm at a place right now in my life where there's a lot of healing happening from the inside out again.
Yes,
Off and on, I've gone through periods of getting stuck. You know, when they talk about the longest journeys from here to here,
right, exactly.
I had experienced about 3 years ago. I not experienced, but I had 2 brain surgeries.
Hmm.
They found 3 brain aneurysms. So uh, I've been at this place again where I'm really excited about life again.
Oh, well, hey,
I'm excited about life again, about just getting to know myself again at different, I don't want to say levels, but at a different place inside myself, because I know I healed quite a bit over the years, say maybe 30 years. And what I mean about the excitement is the deeper levels of the spirituality, of the acceptance, of the
yes,
what resonates when I hear someone's story. Like everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has a, the voice. When I can remember coming around here, and then I remember not ever having a voice at one time. That's probably when when I first time I met Phil was when I did not have a voice. I couldn't, all I could do was cry, and it was grieving, the shedding of the tears, the crying. That's all I ever felt. Hey, but again, I'm at that place with the excitement of um, that journey again. Um, the mind, the body, or just again, the connections of the mind, the body, the soul, and the spirit. Like I can feel the richness of everyone else's medicine again lately for me.
oh, hey,
It's really,
you're
really powerful for me right now. Because
good.
I've gone on different Zoom sites and was invited by different. Oh, I'll go. Okay, yeah, I'll go. And so, it doesn't matter where you're from. There one fellow I met, I think really had that connection with him. He was from Italy, and I'm thinking, oh my God, his message was very strong, and it just really impacted it gives me a lot of hope.
Beautiful.
Gives me a lot of hope.
By the way, have you enrolled for our Four Worlds Talking Circle Leadership Program?
No, I didn't.
Well, you
Uh,
you do that because if anybody has any kind of financial challenge or whatever,
mhm,
full scholarships. I mean, first
yeah,
of all, with your capacities,
yeah.
it would really be important to have you there.
Yeah.
You
I,
know,
I was going to it was brought to my attention, but what it happens is it's in between my work hours, and I work during those hours.
oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
you've done this work for so long. We'll get a chance to.
Yeah. Yeah. But I
Okay.
really want to thank you all for being
Thank
in the
you so
circle.
much.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you. Now we want to go over to Standing Rock Reservation, South Dakota, and I introduce you to a really gifted relative there who's really been a really foundational in helping me and assisting me back in 1980 and throughout the years. He's the person I turn to along with my Tongshi faith whenever I need somebody to explore the meaning of different Dakota Lakota words, and he also represents the Pat Locke Foundation, his beloved mother, who was so revered and recognized as such an innovator in education as he is. So, brother Kevin, I hope after saying all that, you stayed around. Are you there?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, I didn't want you to leave on me here. I'm making that big talk. Good to see you today, Tanji.
Yeah,
Anytime
good.
you want to reflect, we'd love to hear from you. But
Yeah.
it was so nice to have you the other night when we had that global ceremony for peace on earth.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, thanks for hosting this. It's really good to hear and to hear all the reflections about the tree of life. You know, that's what, as you know, that's the kind of the main symbol that people use out here and out in the Dakotas. And you know, that's kind of the soundtrack of my life, all these Sundance songs, because that's a really good feeling that we get, you know, when if you're dancing there beneath the tree of life. And then it's not like people are not praying to the tree. I think you covered that, but it's just a physical manifestation of a spiritual reality. It represents, you know, it symbolizes a connection with God, and the fact that we can have that. You know, this is what this beautiful woman that appeared, we call her the Ptahintsa Laskawi. When she came, she brought all these divine teachings, these heavenly laws. And so then up here at Standing Rock, the way they do the Sundance, that's the teachings from Sitting Bull's time. And so they call it a Buffalo Way Sundance, just like you were talking about Pete Catches, you know, Betacha Yuhamani. And so he had an ancestry from over here. So that's why he was really instrumental in helping keeping that going, that Buffalo Way. But basically, it just represents that presence. You're invoking the presence of the beautiful woman, the one who was authorized to appear. And that's why the Lakota people, when they pray, they do say Wakantanka, Great Spirit, but then they also pray to Tunkashila. And the way I get it is this: Tunkashila was the one that authorized all the holy souls to appear throughout time, everywhere, because that's the grandfather, Tunkashila, the one who authorized them all to appear. And so then this is what this woman, this Ptahintsa Laskawi, White Buffalo Cattleman, was that she promised that we would attain the presence of Tunkashila. So that's why, you know, when they have the Sundance here at Standing Rock, then they'll they actually have somebody to symbolize that, play the part or symbolically enact the role of the Ptahintsa Laskawi, right there beneath that tree of life, which also represents Tunkashila.
Oh,
yeah. So it's a great thing, because that's what she promised, was that we would attain to the presence of God. And the tree of life represents that connection between heaven and earth. But of course, in the Sundance, it's only a short time, a couple of days. But the promise that we have, that we cherish and believe in, is the promise of eternal connection and reunion with that promised one, the center of the universe, the Tunkashila. So yeah. So this is what I think. All people cherish this hope, no matter what. And I think for many, if not most people in the world, there's something parallel about this tree of life. It's such a, as you say, universal archetype. Yeah. But I just can't get that out of my head. Is the like I say, it's the soundtrack of my life. All those songs. Doesn't matter. It could be in the middle of a winter, middle of a blizzard, or whatever. But still, those songs are going. They're the most beautiful songs. Yeah.
Hanshi, would you mind? I'll send you some. I'm sending you over some virtual tobacco here shortly. So if you could be kind enough to sing a song or two for us, it'd be so wonderful at this point.
Yeah, I can do that. There's I'll sing the song. You know, there's some of them that they use right at that time. It's okay because years ago people always said, well, don't sing those songs like in public or anything. But the reality of it is that if we don't do it, nobody's going to hear it.
Exactly. And in the everywhere spirit, if Black Coat said the center of the universe is everywhere, then shoot, it's being done anyway, whether we see it or not.
Yeah. So here's the one that when they put the tree up, when they put the tree up, and then they say that tree is talking. He says, the tree says, behold, I'm standing in a holy way. So Wakaya Inawaji.
Oh.
Standing in a holy way, and all the nations see me, like that. So.
Oh.
It's not really a beat to it, but just then there's another one too. When the tree is standing there, it says, "Grandfather, we are sending our voice. Hear us all over the universe. We are sending our voice that the people may live." Mitakuya yo ni quiero, pero yo haré. Hey, hey, hey.
Oh,
There's hundreds of songs like that, you know.
yes. You know, Tahanshi, thank you so much. You know what just came to my mind? In 1980, we were together in August 1980, and those two wonderful relatives came, Shelby White Bear and Charles Kills-Enemy.
Yeah.
And you remember, it was on a Friday evening before we had that big gathering on Saturday, and we had that ceremony, and it seemed like there was I think it was called a Lowampi. Am I correct?
Yeah, Lawampi, that's right.
Lowampi. It was a Lowampi ceremony, but I've never quite been one that was quite like this. It seemed like they had, was it 33 songs? There was some key number of songs that they needed to sing in that process. Was it 33 or something like that?
Yes, that's right.
33.
Yes.
Okay, I remember that number 33 after all those years. I never talked about it. But they sang those 33 songs from beginning to end. And, you know, those Navajo relatives, I've been over there. I haven't sat through the whole 12 days. They chant for 12 days. And you know, we go up to where the peacemakers from. They go on and share that welcome for, I understand, for days.
Yeah.
So I guess we were into our own spiritual scriptures here, and I'm really glad you said it and pointed out that she was a divine teacher. There's no question. I mean, how in the world can you survive what was done, the Ocheti or Shikoan, to try to destroy them, to try to wipe them out, to try to take away everything, that anything essence we ever had, where my parents went to Haskell and all these schools. I'm sure they had the best intentions, but not only did they not take that spiritual foundation away from us, we're stronger than ever, stronger than ever. Where from? From that source, but also from the source we'll soon fully understand of the two men coming from the east, like arrows. So thank you, Tahanshi, very much for always being around. I'd love to have you, if you have to have time on Sundays, we'd love to have you be part of the dialogue here.
On Sundays, yeah.
Yeah, Sundays about this time. We're going to do it for the 7 weeks while we're having this time of kind of, we realized what happened was, Tahanshi, is we had this program on Thursdays for an hour and a half, and it kept going over 2 hours. I had about 50 minutes to try to share as best I could in 7 weeks these teachings about the talking circles. But we have so much talent. We've got 200, 300 people with great talent. So people would like to get into that 40 minutes or whatever. So we kind of went back and forth. How do we fit that into that little tiny time space? And then we realized, shoot, that's really colonistic thinking. Who in the world says we can do this in 1.5 hours? We're not going to change things in an hour and a half. So through the connection field that we're on now, that's why I want to invite you, if there was a time you might want to share, that we already have our good brother starting, our Mayan brother starting at sunrise. Every day at sunrise, he's there with a fire ceremony and prayers. Now we have next week a whole line coming. So if you're interested in having a visit or just being part of this visit, it'd be great. Just co-host it with me if you would. By next Wednesday, we want to have those all put together so we can have a really full schedule. This happen. Okay, thank you, Tahanshi. And I want to ask Karen Lindemann, my dear sister, who's the executive director of Four Worlds Europe, but way beyond that, a great Frisian sister, really been involved deeply in the awakening of the indigenous women of Europe. If you would like to make the kind of concluding words before we do our closing prayer. Are you there, sister?
Hi, everyone. I have to admit that I am in bed with my sleeping husband because it's almost 2 a.m. in the morning.
Okay. Well, thank you, sister. Rather than, because I know when you pray, you get really intense. You'll probably wake up your whole house. So, so we'll do it. I mean, I'd like to have, if we could, because it was through her and Shelley, darling, that really this happened. So I'm going to ask Julie Kroll if she'd be so happy to give us a closing prayer. She'd be so kind.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you spoke and just enjoy and just float off into bliss you would ever have. You've done such great work. Everything's, has unfolded well.
Brother
So,
Phil, were you asking Julie?
Yes, asking Julie if she would be so
Okay,
kind.
let me, hopefully she's, Julie, are you listening?
That's all right. I am just a perfect person. Just a perfect person, Shelley. And that's you.
Oh, my goodness. First of all, thank you, Tachi, for singing us deeper into this circle of love and brotherhood and sisterhood. And thank you, everyone who's participated in any aspect of this common unity, this bringing together and creating a safe space for love to happen in, for true connection and true intimacy, and just to honoring the life force, the intelligence of the field that has brought us together. And as Brother Phil knows, it was absolutely magical, and it was just it's such a gift to be a voice for good of the whole and the connection field, which essentially is just a listening field, listening to each other. And as you always say, Brother Phil, just this visiting with each other. And you're going to see that we're going to create more and more of this. So really honoring the mother, the divine mother, the life force within each one of us, and all the elements. And just invite people into a deeper sensate feeling where this integration, this source field can bring us together and give and open and allow this true sisterhood and brotherhood to fully become visible, this one humanity, this shared vision. And then within each one of us and all those, if you can just take a breath and connect with your heart and the heart of the global heart of the mother and the cosmic mother and the star nation. And just slowing that heartbeat down and dropping in deeper into these waters that have been talked about tonight. And the story and the teachings of the sacred tree that we, to me, that tree is just, it is an archetype and it's an expression of the above and the below, this reflective connection that we all live in, the nurturing of the mother, so that we're together, we come together in this connection field and in all these different circles of circles. And I just want to drop in that soon, maybe this week, but definitely next week, we're going to create a space that's just a coming together of the hoops of many hoops, and just invite you to feel into this sphere of wholeness and really honor yourself. So just taking a breath and bringing that gratitude and love back to your heart, back to your dreaming. For the tree lives within us. We are that. And thank you to all those that have held this vision, this dreaming in your heart for eons and eons and eons. We're all part of that lineage of ancestors. We are the ancestors. And we're coming back here tonight in every moment to remember. And we honor that remembering. We honor that lifeline. I'm just taking a moment to just deepen into the silent pool, this liminal space of love, connection, value, and wholeness. And so with that, just taking a few deep breaths and really sending this wave, this reverberation this frequency, we call it in the people that are involved with good of the whole, this home frequency that's bringing us home as one family, one nation. And so with that, just so much gratitude for Brother Phil, and may there be many more moments together. Thank you so much. And as Jose has taught us to cross our arms, and I don't even remember what he says, but just that beautiful bow to creation herself.
Thank you so much, sister. I'm going to sing a closing song to close this again that brings us together. It says, Waankie Chinupa Kile Wakayalo Waankie. It says, behold, the pipe that is sacred, the bowl is red, that red bowl or black bowl, white bowl, yellow bowl, whatever the bowl that represents the earth. The earth is holy, sacred. By this way, it's one of those sacred songs, the White Buffalo Captain. Then it says, the plant people that make up the stem, that's sacred. The plant people. And then with your bundle, you also have represent the animal people. The animal people are sacred. And when you put those together, just like when we did put those together, bam, that's that fusion of the same, when that act took place, and they raised that tree on that earth, and boom, but they put it to certain things, we're not going to talk about that. They put that in the earth, that stem in the earth. It's the same as that pipe coming together, creating life between the bowl representing the woman, the power of earth, and the stem representing male, that coming together creates that power together. So I sing that song that honors all dimensions of life to complete this. And then what you probably want to do, Shelley, is turn everybody off after I get done. Turn everybody off mute so they can say goodbye to each other. We can greet each other and say hello and jump down and scream if we want to, whatever. We've been sitting here for a while. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. My father used to say to me all the time, he said, son, if you can't be happy today, what day are you waiting for? So have a great one.
Brother Phil, I'm just going to chime in because people are asking how to get to the fire ceremony and the rest of the events. So for those of you who are listening, please share this out. We are really trying to make this as easy as possible. So you can go to you can join us right here in this Zoom room tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Pacific and 9 a.m. Eastern, and with Jose Akpu Munez, who brings us in through the Mayan calendar and reads the Mayan calendar and opens with a fire ceremony. And then from then on, really almost throughout all the way to 5 p.m. Eastern, there is the connection field. There are different offerings. We're not only inviting you to come listen and be part of this listening field and bring your love and meet others and visit, as Brother Phil has said, we're inviting you to participate. If you are inspired by these events and offerings, come and sign in at goodofthewhole.org, and you will receive a beautiful digest. We invite you to send photographs and stories and poems, and we're putting that out. It's right now it's once a week, but I think it's going to be way more than that. But at least once or twice a week, and so that you can find those links really easy. But all the offerings are right here on this Zoom link. I'm going to actually say it so it's on the Zoom. So it's 333-108-9333. All you got to do is go to Zoom, join in, 333-108-9333. And here's the password. And we ask you to hold and honor this password, share it out, and just with your heart. So it's 333-999, 333-999. And please, if you're having any trouble, you can contact me at Shelley@goodofthewhole.com. And we're here to help you and make it easy for everyone. So blessings to everyone this evening, and blessings to Brother Phil. And thank you for bringing your heart. And please, any feedback, we're happy to receive it, positive feedback, but also where we need to connect, where we're not connecting, we're trying our best. So we hold you in our hearts. Thank you for being a part of this circle of love, circle of many hoops. And I will stay on for a few minutes. Brother Phil might jump off, but I will stay on if you have any questions. I'm just going to, and those of you on Facebook, thank you for joining us. Join us on Facebook Live, Good of the Whole, also the Four Worlds International Institute. A lot of different places we're sharing this out. So, but at Good of the Whole Facebook page with the icon, you'll find us. So good night, everyone on Facebook. And for those of you in the Zoom room, I'll stay on and we can have a little chat and continue. Or if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer.